what are some ways, Shaun, that you feel that you can help build knowledge within our community, build familiarity with our community with the sport of lacrosse? What are those gaps that you're seeing?
I think that's it right there, and I think that's the one me and a couple are like a collective are really seeing. Again, I'm Muslim, so I'm more like a Malcolm guy in my thinking. I think at times
Yeah.
you need your own, and if you want certain things to look a certain way, you got to build it, and you got to do it a certain way. Some people may not think that or agree with that, but I think especially in a thing like lacrosse, that you kind of need your own resources, you need your own lane of doing things, so you need everything, brother. Let's start from you need media. You got to be able to even tell what's going on. If they won't talk about what you even have going on, how can you now reach the masses or even reach anybody that it may touch? So I think media is very important, whether it's people like you, Chris, who can tell the story, or even guys like videographers or photographers who are actually capturing moments that may not be able to be replayed out or relived. You know what I mean? In my lane, lacrosse. Again, where me and my boys stepped in with BME, Be More Elite. We do events. What kind of events? We do events where young men can get recruited. I'm using my platform of knowing other coaches at D1s, D2s, D3s, MCLA club level, and I'm able to run an event now where I invite my friends to now see kids that they may not even look to recruit. And that's where the underdogs event comes in. We've done it for the last 3 years. We have the BME experience coming up where we do the same thing over the summer, but then we threw a twist on where we honor our all-stars, our seniors who are graduating. So you got Under Armour All-American and you got Nike All-American, and they're honoring all the kids that everybody already knows. BME honors kids within our network, Black, minority, that we know, that people we all know within our pipeline celebrate, and again, and with time, it's only within our network, but I know we'll grow. What's another one? I don't know. Maybe if certain brands will maybe want to start partnering and working with us, we can showcase what it is we look like when we want to play this sport. Because not every kid looks like what a lacrosse player looks like that they want to portray to us. That's another one. This stuff you look behind, you see a shaft, or let's see, a head. Engineers. We need engineers. We need people who want to create equipment that are affordable. One of my favorite NBA players, Starberry, he tried it, and they blackballed him and kicked him out of the NBA, and all he did was move to China, and now has 2 universities and statues named after him, and has a line that is actually official, and it's not what they were saying was watered down when it was Stephen Barry. So I think this is a real big area where for us as African Americans or minorities, they have the game gridlock. This is a $100 head. This is just the head. Now a kid who plays defense now has to get one of these.
That's $139.
It's $180. So for you to even have a lacrosse stick to start out to play defense, you're putting out $300. That's not even talking about you got to buy one of these bad boys, which is another $350, $360. So again, you're asking me and where areas where we could, where areas where I see that people are not seeing the bigger picture in my community. It's things in like that. Like they own the market when it comes to the equipment and how we should be, what we should be wearing and the price it's at. So it's like for a young man or a young lady coming up in a game, where's the opportunity?
It is so funny that you said that because I worked at Dick's Sporting Goods in my early 20s. I worked in the department team sports. So I was selling lacrosse sticks. I was selling lacrosse heads. I was selling the nets. I was selling the helmets. So I know how much that stuff costs. So when you're picking up
$30.
Yep.
$30 for this.
Not to mention you got to get it done.
Stringers. So you know what I'm saying?
So now we're seeing the same thing with golf. We're seeing the same thing essentially with tennis. Those sports that we're not seeing our faces at is because we're priced out, which brings up a whole nother issue, which speaks to systematic racism. But that's a whole different conversation that people are not ready for. But it would behoove more companies to go into these inner city schools, to go into these inner city communities, to go to the Boys and Girls Club, establish these programs, at least give the reason why people aren't as developed as they should be, or kids aren't developed as they should be. It goes back to how old pictures were developed. They had to be placed into the light they had to get exposure in order for those pictures to be developed. And that's why we're seeing a lack of development, because we're not getting the exposure. We're not getting that light shine to those young kids to say, hey, this is an option. You only know what you're exposed to. And that's one thing that I've learned since I've had a child. Since my son came into this world, he's 4 now. The only reason why he knows about wrestling is because I've exposed him to wrestling. The only reason why he knows about golf is because I've exposed him to golf. So it's imperative that we as a community, those who are involved in lacrosse and those who don't even have an idea what lacrosse is, there has to be some type of merging. I remember in high school, even middle school, my exposure to bowling was we actually did bowling in gym. That's how I learned how to keep the score in bowling.
Nothing wrong with
If the
learning it.
programs are afforded to us, if the programs are provided for us, there's no end to where our race can go in any sport.
Well, we do a summer campaign every summer, so I get a week where I'm able to, introduce it to some kids from Vernon Johns Middle School, which is one of the middle schools out here in Petersburg. Mind you, there are 3 of them. There are
Yeah.
also 4 elementary schools. There's 4 elementary schools that go into 3 middle schools, and then they have 1 big high school. Our basketball team just won the Virginia State Championship. And some of these kids, man, there's like 100 kids at basketball tries, but the coach is like, there's only 15 guys that make the team. So in the fall, for a month and a half, we pushed in to 2 blocks of gym classes for a month and a half. And we taught the kids lacrosse at Petersburg High School. I'm slated to go to all the elementary schools all of May. Next year in the fall, I'll be at the middle schools. So by Christmas next year, my gift to Petersburg will be that I've taught every kid at least what lacrosse is. And the bigger plan is Petersburg's ready to start lacrosse next year in the spring. So,
and here's the other thing that you're doing with that. Now you're building a pipeline. And then those kids who
now
are
they got to graduate and be ready to take the. But again, yeah. So I think the biggest test for me right now is it's been patience. You know what I mean? I'm a dad
For
too.
sure.
I have a 4-year-old who's about to turn 5, and I have a 2-year-old who just turned 3. So, I think it's that as well. Just staying passionate with parenting and how you need to be as a parent. But I would say that as far as in lacrosse and my direction, especially coming out of Ramadan, I'm very focused on knowing what it is I'm trying to achieve as the head coach here at Virginia State. But my goal, as far as what I think I'm going to try to attempt, well, what I know I'm attempting, it's very light, as you would say. I know what I'm going after when it comes to that too. So
For
very
sure.
exciting time right now.